You ever wonder what the real secret is to making your English sound, less like a textbook and more natural? Well, it's not just about the words you know. It's all about how you connect them. Today, we're going to unlock that secret language glue that's going to completely transform your fluency.
Okay, take a look at this. On the left, you've got two simple ideas. I did a lot of revision. I didn't pass the exam. It's fine, it makes sense, but it feels kind of choppy, right? A little disconnected. Now, listen to the sentence on the right. In spite of all my revision, I didn't pass the exam. Whoa. See how that one little phrase, in spite of, just weaves those two ideas together. It creates a much more sophisticated and, honestly, a much more fluent thought.
So what is this magic we're talking about? Well, they're called linking words. You might have also heard them called cohesive devices or even discourse markers. But hey, whatever you want to call them, their job is exactly the same. They are the secret glue. They connect everything, making your writing logical and your conversations just flow.
That's what I want you to think of them as, the secret glue for your language. Getting a handle on these is absolutely the key to making your ideas clear, connected, and way more impressive.
So where do we start? Let's start right at the foundation. We're going to look at the everyday connectors that, honestly, you probably already use without even thinking twice about it.
Yeah, we all know and for adding things, but for showing a contrast, and so for showing a result. These are the absolute bedrock for connecting your ideas. They're simple, they're essential. But today we're going to build something so much bigger on top of this foundation.
All right, it's time to level up. We're moving beyond the basics now to add some real sophistication to your language, and we're going to do it by mastering contrast. This right here is where your English really goes from good to great. I want you to think of it like climbing a ladder. At the first step, kind of the B1 level, we've got although. Then, moving up, we get to the super useful word despite. And right at the top, for a more formal, impressive touch, we have nevertheless. So let's break these down step by step. So here's the deal with although, and this also goes for its stronger cousin, even though. It absolutely must be followed by a full clause. That just means a subject and a verb. For example, although I did a lot of revision. And here's a little pro tip for you. Whenever you start a sentence with although, you've got to use a comma to separate the two ideas. It's a small thing, but it makes a big difference. All right, you ready to climb up to the next rung? Let's talk about the B2 power couple, despite and in spite of. Now, these are incredibly powerful. They're a little bit trickier, I'll admit, but trust me, they will make your English sound amazing. And the best news, they are completely interchangeable. They're basically twins, so you can just use whichever one you feel like. Okay, rule number 1, and this is the most common way you'll see them used. You follow despite or in spite of with a noun. Remember our very first example? In spite of all my revision. In that sentence, all my revision is the noun phrase. It's a really simple structure, but it's a huge step up from just saying but. And rule number 2 is just as powerful. You can follow them with a gerund. Now don't let that grammar term scare you. A gerund is just the ing form of a verb. For example, despite doing a lot of revision. This structure is so compact, it's efficient, and it sounds incredibly natural. But what if you really need to use a full clause with a subject and a verb? Well, there's a neat little trick for that. You just add the phrase, the fact that. For instance, I didn't pass in spite of the fact that I did a lot of revision. Now that is a true B2 level structure for building some seriously complex and impressive sentences. Okay, so we've covered some fantastic tools for writing. But let's be real. What about speaking? Let's totally switch gears now and look at the secrets to making your conversation sound less like a robot
and way more natural. This is the big question, isn't it? Writing is one thing. You have time to think. But how do we connect our ideas smoothly when we're actually speaking, when we're thinking on our feet in a real live conversation? The answer is something called discourse markers. Think of these as the little words and phrases that native speakers use all the time without even realizing it. They help us manage the flow of conversation, organize what we're about to say, and even show our attitude. Honestly, they are the key to sounding truly fluent. Let's just listen to this quick chat. Hey, what are you doing this weekend? Well, I don't actually have any plans. You see, I was wondering if you wanted to join us for lunch. Sure, you bet. Did you catch all those little words in there? Well, you see, sure, you bet. They might seem small, but they are doing so much work here. See, these are not just filler words, not at all. Each one has a specific job. Well gives the speaker a second to think and introduces what they're about to say. You see is like a little flag that says, hey, I'm about to share some info with you. Sure shows simple agreement, and you bet, that just kicks it up a notch with some real enthusiasm. They add personality and make everything flow. All right, I know we've covered a lot of ground. You've learned how to connect ideas in writing and how to make your conversations flow. So let's pull everything together into your brand new, upgraded communication toolkit. And just in case you're wondering if this is really all that important, especially if you're taking an exam like IELTS or Cambridge, get this. Cohesion, your ability to link your ideas, can account for up to a quarter of your total score. I mean, that's huge. A quarter of your grade just for using these words correctly. It is a direct path to a better result. But, and this is a big but, I have to give you a word of warning. You've got to handle these tools with care. The goal is not to just stuff every sentence with a fancy connector word. No, the goal is to use them accurately and when they feel right. If you overuse them, it can sound really unnatural. So remember, quality is always better than quantity. So let's do a super quick review of your new toolkit. For that formal written contrast, you've got however. For a more flexible way to show contrast, you've now mastered despite. And for making your conversations flow like a native, you've got amazing little tools like well to introduce a thought, and you see to share information in a really natural way. At the end of the day, language is all about connecting ideas and connecting with people. And you now have a powerful new set of tools to do exactly that, in a way that's more sophisticated and more natural than ever before. So the only question left is, what idea will you connect today?